podcast are solely those of the authors and guests of the podcast. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Soberless Thoughts.
I'm Mike Odenbeck.
I'm Alex Corley.
And these are our
Soberless Thoughts.
Hello and welcome to the most riveting podcast on the bride's side of the wedding aisle at a shotgun wedding.
Shotgun wedding.
That's what I'm drinking tonight is Country Boy Brewing Shotgun Wedding. Would it be better off to be on the bride side of the family or the husband or the groom side of the family at a shotgun wedding? I guess because isn't it the father-in-law,
Yep.
the bride's father, who's the shotgun holder
Yes.
at a shotgun wedding,
Yeah.
quote unquote? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's I don't know, like that's where the term came from. Where they're basically like, she's preggers. You're gonna marry her before this baby gets here because it's wrong. It's wrong afterwards. Basically, like if the baby's here, it's too late.
Damn.
So that's
Is that where shotgun wedding comes from? Is a premature baby?
Yeah,
Pre-wedding,
100%.
premarital baby.
Basically, it's usually two younger kids fooling around. Girl gets pregnant. And she's crying, "Daddy, I'm pregnant." And he's like, "No, my daughter would be there." And then he's like, "What boy would did done this?" And he's like, "Let me get my shotgun." And he shows up and he goes, "You're gonna marry her." He goes, "But I'm not. You didn't hear me. You're gonna marry her. You're gonna do the right thing and marry my daughter."
You are taking responsibility.
Yeah. And
Meanwhile, the groom's father is like, it's probably better off to just pay child support at this point. You'll be done paying it off in 18 years, and you can just live your life, do
Right.
what you want.
yeah, well,
See the kid every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
whatever.
that's very new age of you. I think this was more like turn of the century, back when like they were like blasphemy, like it just where it was just like if you were an unwed, especially for female, like an unwed mother was like the worst thing in the world to be.
But what if you're in a relationship, though?
Yeah, I don't think they cared.
Like you're in a committed monogamous relationship. You're just not officially, the paperwork hasn't been signed for the wedding yet.
Yeah, I mean today sounds great.
Yeah.
But back then when that came around, no, never.
No.
They you shouldn't be fooling around, dude. You're talking about people that like they just got away from like you had to go like ask the father for permission, and this father's just like, I'm telling you, you got not only permission,
But it is happening.
yeah, this is happening. Because I feel like it was probably also some sort of it's you went around the guy and didn't ask for permission,
Right.
and now the consequences are now you have to,
Yeah. You soiled her britches.
basically, like
Her integrity, her dignity.
yeah,
It's all gone.
right,
And now you have to pay.
Yeah.
And we're going to pretend that when the baby's born in 7 months, it was premature.
yeah, basically, and that way we'll tell everybody it was the wedding night.
That's what they call, what is it when because I know back in the day your wedding wasn't even official unless you consummate the marriage. That's it.
Well, that's even going further back.
Yeah.
That's like in Kings when they're like, all right, let's all go in this room and creepily watch friends and family members do it on a bed.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's for science.
No, it's you have to have witnesses
Right.
that say otherwise the marriage isn't legitimate.
So by their standards, well, I was gonna say most of us Some of us have some pretty wild wedding nights, but most of us haven't officially. Well, I guess if you have a kid, they are like, well, I guess we can assume we didn't need those witnesses there.
Right, yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We didn't even have sex on our wedding night.
Yeah.
Didn't even, I don't know if she wants people to know that. But it didn't happen, dude. We, like, drank a lot. By the time we got to the hotel room, we were both so ready to just pass the fuck out. We were so tired.
Dude, don't feel bad. That actually happens more often than not. There was a statistic. It's like 50%. It's a high statistic, and it's that. It's you've been running your ass off all day. You're high pressure. Then you start drinking like a fucking fish, and then you're partying, like you run around the dance floor dancing, having a good time, sweating your ass off, and then some of us who aren't rich got to clean that shit up afterwards. And then at the end of my wedding, I was lifting fucking bourbon barrels in the back of a truck in a fucking tux.
I remember.
And trying not to get that nasty shit all over me because I got to turn the tux back. So like I get it. Like after all of that, you go back to the hotel room, you're like, I don't know.
This is it. This is the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember laying there in the bed, and we had like all of our luggage and shit because we immediately left and went on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there. She's already she barely got out of her dress before she fell asleep. She was so tired. She's out. She's gone. I'm laying there. I'm like half in and half out. And you know how like when you're half asleep, like something will happen and then all of a sudden you just like jolt to and you're wide awake.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, I think like somebody in the room next to us like slammed their door shut or something. And whatever it was, it like woke me up and I sat up in the bed and I look over at her. And like also when you're like half asleep, as a guy, when you're half asleep, half awake, like sometimes you just get growth, Yeah. It just happens like at that moment for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I woke up and I was like, oh shit, I'm ready to go right now. Like I could do this. And I look at her and like I said, dude, she's snoring. She is just gone, like dead to the world. I was like, hey babe, wake up. No, nothing. I mean, she was not having it.
Right.
Usually she's a light sleeper. But so I started looking around the room. I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to do? Because I'm wide awake now. And I see like half of the sheet of the wedding cake sitting there. And I'm like, oh, that looks fucking delicious. And I started looking around the room like, I don't have any silverware. I don't have shit like to eat this with. So I just like opened it up and just started grabbing handfuls of it. Just like, cake. This is great.
That's funny.
Fell asleep. And I woke back up. Like in the morning, I woke up. Apparently, I didn't even like go and wash my hands or I had like cake all over my hands and shit still. Like, so just what did you do?
All over your face. Like, it was a good
Apparently
night.
I woke up and needed some cake.
Yeah. Future reference. Don't leave cake in our bedroom.
Right. It will get ate.
Yeah.
Eventually. It will get ate.
Yeah, dude, the funny thing is, I know what you mean because like, I feel like our wedding night, it was like I really wanted to be like we had done all that stuff. We got a Uber to our like we didn't even think of like renting a car or like having someone. We just called an Uber, hopped in it. They drove us back to the hotel. And
that's the other thing where we lacked was we had no ride to the hotel.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to jump. At least you got an Uber. We had to jump in the back of a minivan full of all the decorations from the wedding, and we were just kind of stuffed in on top of the decorations.
Right. It's the one thing you don't think about is how the hell you're getting in. Like, we didn't think about it. We're like, oh, shit, who's going to... Like, we'd been driven to and from the wedding all damn day.
Yeah.
And me and her both are like, well, how... Shit. So we just called an Uber. of course, when we get back, I wanted to be, and this is like downtown Lexington. I was like, we got to go at least in one bar. She was like, I just want to go to bed. I was like, we got to go in one bar, get one drink, so it can be those people that are obnoxious. And like, are those fucking assholes at a bar in their wedding? I'm like, yes. So we went down just walked like a block down the street, went into a bar. Everyone lost their shit. Like, oh my God, you got. And so then people are like buying us drinks and shit like that. And that was like part of the plan. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I was let's just go out tomorrow night too. Like,
Dude,
what?
that is actually an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Let's get. Well, first of all, we need to like buy tuxes.
Right.
We're not renting them. We need to buy them, and then you and I will, in our tuxes, will go into local gay bars and say we just got married.
I knew that's where you're going. I was like, we'll get a shit ton of.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna go black tux this time.
I'll wear the
blue.
white tux.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Ooh, oh fuck. Yeah, I don't need to wear a white tux, dude. I'm notorious for having. I'm the spill shirt guy,
Oh yeah, me too,
dude.
man. Yeah.
And it's like 5 minutes in. I mean, I don't give a shit. Like my shirt, like I got a button down. It's crisp. I starched it. Fucking the wings on the collar, like, bink, like that, just like perfection. And then just like and I always order something stupid, like cranberry vodka or some shit like that. And I'm like, boom, take one sip out of it. Some drunk asshole just bloops right there on my chest. And now I've got the freaking wet spot, just like, and so now I'm talking to people and they're just.
Oh, you wear it to dinner and you, of course, order spaghetti.
Yeah. They're like, well, great. It looks like I've been rolling around in barbecue sauce.
Right.
Like, why do I do this?
Anything that's juicy.
Yeah.
You need to just only get French fries, no ketchup.
Oh, I think I just thought of a commercial idea. The drunk bib.
Oh.
Keep your shirts clean while you're drinking.
Okay.
The drunk bib.
The beer bib.
The beer bib. There you go.
The beer bib.
Beer bib.
Although, I don't know. Does beer, it depends on the beer. Doesn't really stain.
I know. Yeah, well, beer is not as bad. I mean, usually because if you get cans, but if you get like drafts or even cups, it's not as bad. But it's always cocktail night.
Yeah.
That fucks me up.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And it's not like I'm not drinking it any faster. I'm not any more drunk. It's just people around me.
Yeah.
It's also the setting. Because I will say, like, this is one reason I don't go to clubs anymore. Or I'm too old for that shit. But when I was going to clubs, like younger, I'd stop going to clubs because I just hated having to fight through 200 people crammed in a 100 people room space. When you're having to like wiggle through.
At what point is too old to go to the club? At what point? Because I've had this conversation with my best friend Christian.
Yeah.
Mr. Banks. Grandpa Banks, as we call him on here. And he was like, he's still to this day, at a ripe 45 years old, will go to the club.
See, I don't think I don't think you're too old to go to the club, but there is something to where you want to go to the club. Because at our age, you just don't want to deal with any of that BS. And the reason I never wanted to go to the club is like, I bump into 1,000 people. Like, if you're a social butterfly, I get it. Or if you're balling outrageous, you know, you always see like these like famous singers and fucking rappers and art, like actors and stuff, and they're always at a club in the VIP section with
I feel like
bottles
that's
and shit.
a lifestyle, though.
It is a lifestyle, and it's not for the average Joe. I feel like is where I'm leaning towards, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I don't want to deal like people talk about wanting to go to New Year's Eve at New York City. That sounds like the most god awful thing I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
life.
that sounds horrible.
And that's what a club is to me.
Mandy wants to do that once. Go to. I'm like,
That's all you'll
that
need.
sounds horrible.
You know what I would do if I had the money? I would just rent an apartment or a whatever hotel room that's like literally next door to the ball.
Yeah, that overlooks the ball.
Yeah. And then I could walk out, go, wow, this sucks. Because, like, people wear diapers to that shit. Because you can't go to the bathroom anywhere. So you're just going to be pissing and shit yourself. So all those people on TV, they're like, hey, I just shit my pants.
Yeah. I'm sure it smells fantastic down there.
Well, yeah, it's well, at least it's not New York in the summer.
God.
I've never been in New York, but a buddy just got back, and he goes, dude, don't go to New York in the summer. He's like, it smells like piss and shit, and just...
Well, I wouldn't go to New York in general nowadays, because it's turned into a fucking hellhole. Dude, it was nice for a while. It got nice, and now it's starting to take the turn again.
Right.
Crime is up 500% or some crazy ass shit like that.
Turning into like Portland or what's that California city where it's just like an insane amount of homeless people?
San Francisco?
Maybe it's San Francisco.
Yeah.
Where it's just like that fucking episode of South Park.
It's just it's a complete division of people where you're either a millionaire or you're homeless.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That's it.
Pretty much.
But I don't know, dude. I don't want to get into that tonight.
No, that's fine.
I need to talk about...
I don't know.
I mean, I'm supposed to hold this fucking thing on me all day long? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they have my mustache all twirled up. I look, this is ridiculous. No, I told them if I'm not out of here in 5 minutes, I'm fucking walking out of here.
Yeah, laugh one more fucking time. See what happens, okay? Who's directing this shit?
I've always played a villain. The first time I got caught for shoplifting, I had 5 swatches on my wrist. I fell in with the wrong group of people in high school. Like they were rich kids, and we got caught. I saw the guy looking at me and I said, I did it, I stole it. True story. I didn't go to jail though. Talked my way out of it.
Craziest thing I ever stole? Yeah. A kid.
You did. Did he look like you?
I can't remember what he looked like. No, Nicole, I don't want any fucking coffee. I want Jack Daniels. How many times do I have to say that? Bring it over. Cigarette? Hey, I'm Wendy. We have square hamburgers.
Who hasn't done cocaine in this room? You can do this. What? Fuck it.
Is it time for me to put my pants on?
No, you don't even have to put those on yet.
A little higher. Stop. No. Perfect. How did they make you Chef Boyardee? By twirling your mustache? That's it? That's
Keep
the
talking,
Chef
Dan.
Boyardee?
Keep talking.
How much did they pay for this?
Why do you have that blue scarf on with the blue eyeshadow?
Yes, this is the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Let the emergence begin.
I'm just so happy to be out of these outfits. Danny looks so stupid. He's so stupid.
Walton, I'm right here. Some people are trying to work here, Walton.
Well, I've already done my work. That means I'm faster than you.
Yep.
But I mean,
Hey,
with this show.
sorry guys, Walton, Danny, I just wanted to say thank you so much. You guys are the best. You know, I just have to say, Eastbound and Down, really came at a really crucial time in my life.
Oh, that's nice, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
I mean,
great.
I wasn't on that, but
Yeah.
That means so much. Thank you.
What a fucking idiot.
asshole.
Do you want to go do some cooking?
I'd love to, buddy. Yeah, right before this premiere tonight. Wonderful.
Can I get an apple box or something? Jesus Christ. Come on. Thank you.
I was thinking about starting a podcast where I only talk. I'm going to be like the next Rush Limbaugh. I'm just going to scream into my microphone about shit that pisses me off that's going on in society.
I was at an estate sale and there was a record of Rush Limbaugh, and
Yeah.
I almost got it, and I kind of wish I did. This to give to you, since you could have put that in the background and framed it, because it's like one of those record albums where it's like him like
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
posed up like glamour shot.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. I can't decide if I want to do it weekly, because if it's just me in the microphone, I can do it anytime I want.
Yeah.
I could do it I could do it in the mornings before I go to work. The only problem is I'd have to be in a soundproofed room.
Right.
Because I would be for sure screaming into the microphone.
Right.
Screaming profanities into the microphone would be the entire breakdown of the podcast. Like, what is this podcast about? It's just, well, this guy sits there and he screams profanities into the microphone. That's what it is. For 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
Love it.
And I already thought of a name for it. I'm not going to say it live on here because I looked it up and it does not exist.
Nice.
I'm like, okay. There is 0 podcast called this, so I will definitely name it that.
Right. That's better than the one I just told you. I just told, before we started, I just told him about, I was thinking about starting a movie podcast called The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and apparently everyone and their mom has a podcast called The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Oh, yeah.
So don't do that.
No, I'm going to name it. And then I'm going to completely bzz that out when I just say it on the podcast.
Yeah. I like it.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. And then it'll be me screaming, just holding on the microphone. I fucking hate it!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, that dude that would get so much angst off of my chest, it'd be so great.
Yeah.
But tonight, I want to talk about Wiz Khalifa,
Yep.
of all people, is where I'm going to begin this story. It's where I'm going to begin this tale tonight, Alex. The tale of Wiz Khalifa, who decided he was going to throw the first pitch at a Pittsburgh Pirates game. And before he threw the first pitch, he tweeted, which is not tweet anymore, now it's X.
Yeah. He exited it.
He exited it. What do they call it? So if you can't say tweet, so what is it then? Is it exited it? Exited it?
I don't know. Someone in marketing didn't think about that. Because tweeted had such a good... It was its own adjective.
Right.
Or verb, actually.
Yeah, get on Twitter and tweet about it.
Yeah.
Get on X and exited it about it.
Right.
Thread. Start a thread.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because they still use that.
Right. That's weird. Yeah, I don't like it. X. I'm going to Z it. I'm going to XY.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Anyways, he said he was going to throw the first pitch, and he wanted to experience what it's like to throw the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game while high on shrooms.
Yeah.
And that got me to thinking.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a experience or a time where somebody pitched while high out of their fucking gazord? And the answer is yes.
I was going to say, I was like, and the reason we're here, I'm going to guess, is yes.
Yes. It's yes. And it was the Pittsburgh Pirates of all teams even.
In honor.
And who is the pitcher? Doc Ellis.
What a great name, too. Even though every time I hear Doc Ellis, I think of, like, it sounds like a Western.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so many great Western names that are Doc.
Yeah.
Why don't people go by the name Doc anymore? I used to date this girl. Back alley.
Yeah.
I used to date this girl who her best friend was a bartender on the west side of Cincinnati, and her boyfriend, the bartender's boyfriend, was a cop, a county sheriff deputy who went by the name Doc.
Oh, that's cool.
And that wasn't his name, obviously, but that was what he went by.
Yeah.
Was Doc. Dude was super cool. Loved that guy. He was my favorite part of that relationship. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like, cause every time we went out with them. It was like a double date.
Right.
Every time we went out, and he was so fucking awesome. And there was times I would just hang when her and I were together that I would just hang out with him. Just him and I would go hang out.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, fuck the girls. Let's go to the bar.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, all right, I'll meet you there. You know. And then when her and I broke up, I never heard from him again. And I was so sad about it. And then just randomly, like, I don't know, 6 months after her and I broke up, I happened to be in the bar that girl worked in. And I went over to her and I was like, hey. And she's like, oh, hey, Mike, what's up? And I was like, hey, I miss hanging out with you and Doc. And she's like, oh, Doc and I broke up. And I was like, no shit. She's like, yeah. She's like, basically, I think she said that she caught him cheating on her or something. And I was like, that doesn't sound like something he would do. And she got mad at me because I didn't believe her. And I'm like, well, you know, you seem like the one that would cheat, not him. But if that's your story, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna call him up and have him hang out with me because we're both single now.
Yeah.
Fuck, we'll go run the bar scene. He changed his number.
Damn.
I guess because, I don't know.
Maybe because of that person you're just talking to.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably because she's crazy.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, like a few days later, I went back in that bar specifically to talk to her to see if she knew what his new number was.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't even know he changed his number. And I'm like, well, fuck, I ain't never going to get a hold of this guy again.
Yeah.
And I've never heard or seen him since.
Sorry if you're listening, Doc.
Yeah, if you're listening, Doc, I miss you. I miss our friendship. I miss wrestling with you in the bushes outside of the bar and Cheviot. There's a picture. There's a picture of us literally grappling in the middle of a bush next to some bar in Cheviot.
Oh, that's funny.
Where like, I like told him I could take him or something, and he like basically speared me into this bush, and we're like wrestling in the bush.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That is pretty funny. What do you think ruined the name Doc? Do you think it was Dr. Emmett Brown or what's up, Doc?
Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
Might have been Bugs Bunny. Or maybe it's just like it might just be like the, you know, today's age. Everybody wants like a cool name. You know, everybody wants their kid's name to be something fucking weird.
Weird and meaningful.
Yeah. Because also, like, nobody names their kids like my kids' names. Not even yours. Like, yours is kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, my kids' names, very strong, old-fashioned names.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm like, that's what I wanted for my kids. And then, except for my daughter's name, who knows where my daughter is named after a really attractive Indian girl that we saw on The Family Feud.
Hey, at least it was from somewhere.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was like, damn.
But
that
that
was
actually,
so oddly specific.
But that actually is the only time that we've ever seen her name anywhere else in the world ever. We just happened to be watching Family Feud one day, and it was this Indian family.
Yeah.
And the one daughter who was like the best looking in the whole family.
Yeah.
And they're like, and her little name tag was spelled the exact same and everything. And I was like, oh my God, babe, look. Yeah. It's her. And she's like, oh my God, it's the first time.
I mean, when we were coming up with names, I tried to do a couple of like kind of basic, like one after our like father-in-law and his dad. I even did, like, me and Cass jokingly said, what about John Wayne? Because our dads both love John Wayne. Oh, yeah. She goes, wouldn't that be great? And then I looked at her, I'm like, are you kidding me? She's like, no, but wouldn't it be great, John Wayne? I'm like, what about John Wayne Gacy? Yeah. Remember that guy? He was named after John Wayne. And she goes, oh, God, no. I'm like, yeah. Let's not do that one.
Yeah. John Wayne Gorley.
Yeah. I was like, that's just, no.
No. That's the other thing that you got to think about is if they become an assassin or a serial killer, they'll be used the three name thing. So you got to make their three names not sound good together.
Right. Like, do you think anybody names their kid Jeffrey anymore?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I do know a couple Jeffreys.
Jeffrey.
But they were like specifically named, they're juniors or the thirds.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's the dude that was the I was gonna say this, but I didn't mean it like that. But I'm gonna say, fuck it. I was gonna say, what was the guy who's the lady killer? Like,
The lady killer?
yeah. He like picked girls up in a Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, dude, we're horrible with this.
I know. This is why we're not a true crime
Yeah.
podcast. I'm like, all right, so there's this dude, right? He's like,
There was a serial killer this one time.
he like
He was attractive.
yeah.
There's 500 people screaming right
I know. They're like, it's fucking death. I just listened. Like, I don't listen to fucking true crime podcasts. I was about to say Bates, but I know it's not right because I was
No, that's
Norman Bates.
yes.
Bundy, Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. There you go. Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy.
Theodore.
Yeah. Do you see any Teds other than Ted Mosby?
No.
Mobley?
Not young Teds.
No.
No.
That's another one gone.
But I do see Jacks.
Like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, like Jack the Ripper.
See-
That's who my son's named after.
Nice.
And Waylon.
Yeah.
Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Jack Daniels and Waylon Jennings are who they're named after.
Nice. That's the beginning of a country song right there.
Why? So my son Jack, who's been on the podcast, if you listen back, and who we need to have on the podcast now because he sounds like a man when he talks.
He doesn't sound like this anymore.
He doesn't sound like a little girl.
Can we have milkshakes?
Yeah. But anyways, and he had to remind me of that too the other day because he went to somewhere and he was like riding. I think he was riding rides or that was it. He went and he took his little brother or something and was like having him ride like the little kid rides at Kings Island or something. And I asked him if he was riding them with him, and he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm 6'1", 210 pounds. You think I'm getting on that ride?" I'm like, I guess I got to quit thinking of you as a little kid.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're right. You're not getting on that ride.
Right. They probably wouldn't even let you. They're like, no.
No, don't even try.
Actually, it's gonna be funny. I guess he never had experience. Did you remember this when you were going through the pubes, where you went from like I remember answering the phone when we all had landlines, and people would go, "Rita, that's my mom's name." I'd be like, "No, this is Alex." Like, "Oh, okay." And then they're like, and I'd go find mom, and then at like. That was like middle school. And then when I got to high school, I'd be like roll over, phone ring. I'm like, hello, like Kelvin. I'm like, no, hold on a second. Gosh, Dad.
Actually, speaking of Jack,
Yeah,
so I called him when he was in middle school.
yeah,
And he answered, or I think I called his mom, and he answered her phone and started talking to me as if he was her. And I legit had a whole conversation with him thinking he was her
yeah.
to the point of hanging up the phone. And then he called me back and was like laughing and was like, that was me the entire time.
It's a good thing you weren't talking shit that day.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
you sound exactly like her.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like, thanks, Dad. I'm like, no, like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, you had her fucking little, like, attitude and everything.
He's probably doing an impression.
Well, yeah, that's what he was doing. And he's like, well, yeah, I live with her. I know what she's like. I'm
Yeah.
like, he's like, I just said what I thought she would say. And I was like, well, it was perfect. It was spot on.
Right.
You were such a bitch.
You caught me at a good time, honey, I'm a gold mine. Got a pocket full of 20s, knowing who we're gonna go to sleep. Well, you caught me in a good everyday sunshine. You caught me at a good time. Honey, you and me go good together. You're the prettiest woman I've ever seen ever. Ever think about the backslide, slipping in the midnight, get a little alright, light a little candlelight. Caught me at a good time. Honey, I'm a gold mine. Got a pocket full of hell, yeah. Why not? Might as well, yeah. Well, you caught me in a good mood, a badass attitude, everyday sunshine. Well, you caught me at a good time. Slipping in the midnight, get a little more right, flying high in the sky. Oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a good time. Oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a good time. Oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a good time. Oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a, oh, you caught me at a good time. You caught me at a good time. Honey, I'm a gold mine. Got a pocket full of hell, yeah. Why not? Might as well, yeah. Well, you caught me in a good mood, badass attitude, everyday sunshine. You caught me at a good time.
All right, let's talk about Doc Ellis.
Let's talk about Doc Ellis.
So Doc Ellis said to Wiz Khalifa, "Hold my beer, because let me tell you what I did back in the 1970s."
Nice.
Now, Alex, I think you know this story. You told me you heard this story before.
Yeah, I know the vague description of it.
So I will tell you the Soberless Thoughts version of this story, because I heard this story once so far.
Yeah.
And it was like a month ago now. So this will be great.
Right.
Doc Ellis goes to his manager and is like, "Hey, we're off tomorrow. And I don't pitch the next day, but I pitch the day after that. Is it cool?" I think he went to his manager and was like, "Is it cool if I go home and chill at the house for a day or so and come back?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're not pitching, go."
Yeah.
So he's like, "All right." So he jumps on a plane and goes to St. Louis, which is where his house is, apparently. And he's still in the airport when he drops some acid.
As you do.
And he decides that he's like, when he tells the story, he says, if I take the acid while as soon as I get off the airport, I time it perfectly to where I can be in my room in my safe place for when it hits me.
Right.
As soon as I get in there and sit down, boom, it hits me. I know it. I got it timed out.
Yeah.
This is what I do. Right? So he takes the acid. He goes in. He goes to his room and starts tripping out and does his thing, right? So his best friend's girlfriend comes into the room. He's in there. He doesn't know how long. He's in there. He's just vibing out, right? His best friend's girlfriend comes in, and she's like, "Doc, get up, buddy. He's like, what? Why? I'm like off. It's like my off day, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even have to pitch the next day. And then it's the next day that I pitch. He's like, so I got a whole 2 days before I even got to get back. He's like, I ain't doing nothing. He's like, I'm about to drop another fucking thing of acid. She's like, according to the sports page, you're pitching today. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because he just like took more acid.
Right.
He like just took it.
Yeah.
So he like grabs the page from her, the sports page from her, looks at the newspaper. Kids, if you don't know what a newspaper is, back in the day we used to get these things that were made out of paper that had news on them, and they also had sports sections, a whole section of sports that had like all of your, you know, times for games and like the whole, like your roster, the whole nine. Everything that you would find on Google today was previously in the newspaper.
Right. It's the skinny towel thing your grandparents still read.
Right. Exactly. So he's looking at the sports page in the newspaper, and sure enough, the Pittsburgh Pirates are playing at the San Diego Padres, I think it was, at like whatever time, and Doc Ellis is scheduled as a starting pitcher. He's like, no fucking way. So he rushes, he has her drive him to the airport because he's fucked up, right?
Right.
Drives him to the airport. And this is back in the day when you could just walk into the airport
And say, I want a plane ticket here.
Yeah, and buy a plane ticket to wherever the fuck you want to get a plane ticket to. So he goes in, gets a plane ticket to San Diego, takes a taxi from the airport to the fucking stadium, goes walking into like the front doors of the stadium like, I'm Doc Ellis. I need a pitch today. Like, where am I going?
Right. Purple.
I'm with the Pirates. You know, where am I going? You know. So they get him situated. They get him into into like the locker room or whatever, and his teammates are looking at him like, dude, you are fucked up. And he's like, I know I'm fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, they're like, you gonna be able to pitch? He's like, I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, just get me onto the mound and I'll do the rest.
Yeah.
So he gets out there. First inning, he's looking at home plate, and the way he describes it is, all he can tell is if the batter's a right-handed batter or a left-handed batter. That's all he can tell. He's tripping so hard. He can tell if the batter's on the right side or the left side. And he's like, okay. He has no idea. So the catcher, because he couldn't see the catcher's fingers, the first inning he couldn't see the catcher's fingers at all.
Right.
So he's just throwing whatever he thinks is a good pitch to throw. Ends up like striking out two of the batters, and another batter hit like a grounder to the second base and gets thrown out.
Yeah.
He goes in the dugout and he goes over to the catcher and he's like, dude, I can't see a fucking thing. Like, you need to make it so I can see what pitch you're calling. So the catcher goes and puts these like real bright white tape on the tips of his fingers so that Doc Ellis can see from the mound what fingers he's holding down to give him the pitch. So he's like, all right, bet I can see that now. So they get back out there. In the second, third inning, he's pitching, and he's somehow magically getting all these batters out.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, the reason he's getting these batters out is because he is throwing the fucking ball everywhere.
Yeah. He just no control, just
Zero control.
spaghetti noodles into the octopus fist.
Yes. So there's multiple interviews with players from the Padres from that game where they say they're like we were terrified. we were terrified to come to bat because we didn't know if the ball was going to come a 98-mile-an-hour fastball at our face or a 73-mile-an-hour curveball in the dirt and bounce up at us, or who knows what. We were terrified. So eventually, as the game progresses, there's a rookie for the Pirates team who is in the dugout, and he starts talking to Doc Ellis in between each inning, like, hey, you got a what do they call a no-no going? You got a no-no going.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, you got a no-no going. He's like, dude, shut the fuck. Like, I don't even know what that means right now.
Right.
Like, he couldn't even comprehend what was happening.
Right.
And the other players, I guess it's like superstition.
Yeah.
That when a pitcher's throwing a no-hitter, like, you don't want them to
think about it.
You don't want them to even bring it up.
Right.
Like, because if you say something, then it's going to jinx it.
Yeah. They get worried about it, then the
Right.
Yeah, nerves get you. Yeah.
Right. So the other players start like intentionally keeping this rookie dude away from Doc Ellis from like the fourth inning on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even sit anywhere. You have to sit on the opposite side of the bench from this motherfucker.
You're freaking him out, bro.
Yeah, like
stop being a buzzkill.
Right. Like, get the fuck away, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, he ends up pitching the entire game. He didn't even know it was the ninth inning when he was in the ninth inning. He said he thought it was like maybe the fourth or fifth inning. And he gets the last batter out. And as he gets the last batter out, like, his teammates come running over to him, like, you know, patting him on the back, high-fiving him and shit. And he's like, has no clue what the fuck is happening. Like, what happened? Like, what is going on? And they're like, you won. Like, we won. You pitched a fucking no-hitter, dude. I don't know. Was it a no-hitter or a perfect game?
I think it was I thought it was a no-hitter.
I think it's just a no-hitter, yeah.
I just want to know if like when all the players came running out on the field, if he was like, like fucking waterfall, like just see this like crowd, the ants are coming at me, just freaked the fuck
Well, he
out.
didn't know that he got the last batter out even.
Well, I know, but it's a change of scenery where all of a sudden there's this wave of humanoid like things just coming at
he's
you.
like standing on the mound waiting for him to throw him the ball back to pitch at the next batter.
It was a no-hitter.
Yeah. So he's standing on the mound waiting for him to throw him the ball back, and all of a sudden everybody just comes running at him.
He was number 17. I feel like I might get a Pittsburgh Pirates 17 jersey.
Oh, yeah. It says Ellis on the back of it.
Right. That would be the shit. But it was like, that. It's just crazy to even think about, of like not being like understanding what the fuck's going. Like, the funny thing is, like, this exact same thing happened to a guy I worked with. And I'll tell you in just a second. I know I've said it on here. I'm gonna tell the story again, but yeah, like it's crazy to think about. Like it's such a great intimidation factor just to throw wild ass balls where you're just like, I don't know what I'm hitting. Like I couldn't even imagine trying to throw.
Yeah.
That.
Well, he said that, like I said, he could recognize if it was a right-handed batter or a left-handed batter, and he didn't want to hit anybody. And he felt bad if he hit somebody. So he tried intentionally to just not hit the person.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, so it's a lefty. It's a lefty.
Yeah.
Let's try and throw it more on the right side.
I want to know what kind of shit he was seeing. Like,
I don't know, man.
Oh, this is what I knew there was something I was going to say. But also, like, Now, granted, this is the 70s where drugs, it was a little bit more lax with drugs, I feel like, before they really started cracking down like that. Like, they used to, like, people could just do drugs.
So it was so lax, because he also talks about this, that they had a girl that sat in the dugout with the players who gave them drugs.
Right.
Like, she had a fanny pack that she wore. Like, he said it was a golden fanny pack that she wore.
Yeah.
And most of the guys got like uppers and stimulants and shit. He said he went over to her at the very beginning of the game and was like, you got to give me something to bring me the fuck down. And she like gave him whatever it was that she gave him. And then he said he was going over there in between almost every inning, like redosing, trying to like, just so he could function enough to go out there and throw the ball.
See, I guess you wouldn't want to be hyped up, but it'd probably help with his nerves, because that's part of what I was going to say is, like, I know, at least with, like, I've always heard with weed and stuff like that, like, you get super paranoid, and I'm sure, and they actually say this about, like, the difference between meth heads and coke addicts, which is a weird because they're both uppers, but, like, coke heads are paranoid of police, and they go, meth heads will run up on a policeman and be like, hey, do you see what they're doing over there? and like, it's like a thing where police are like, I'm so fucking sick of these meth heads, because they will just come up to you and they won't have anything on them, but they will just like start telling you how to do your job and all this other shit. But coke heads will like say, oh fuck, everybody get over here, let's get in a dark corner, right? And
the meth head's like, I'm a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't touch me.
Hey, you listen, buddy. Okay, I've seen Better Call Saul. Okay, I'll fucking report you to your superior.
I know all the lyrics of Bad Boys.
Right. And like, but like, potheads are the same way. They're super paranoid. Like, and I couldn't imagine tripping your fucking nuts off, trying to be like, all right, like, you have the inner monologue, like, everything's fine, okay, that elephant isn't there, it's fine, right? Shit like that. But then doing it in front of, I don't know, 10,000 people all fucking staring at you,
right,
on a field where you're like, the flower people are staring at me again. Like, you're just,
I don't know if you, at that
you
point,
probably wouldn't even recognize it.
I don't know if you'd even want to look up.
No.
Like, I'd just be looking down at the dirt the whole time and then just looking at home plate to throw the ball and then looking back down after I got the ball back.
See, part of the, it could be also like, it's just background noise at that point. It's different when you're in an intimate setting, but if you're isolated in the middle of a field, it's just literally, if you think about it, it's just you and the pitcher.
Maybe he did think that he was on an island.
Yeah. Like, kick his shoes off, like sitting there barefoot, just
throwing balls at the bamboo tree across the
right,
across the water.
That would be fucking. That sounds like a nice time. Do that every game.
Yeah.
But no, dude, it's so funny. So the story I was gonna tell you was, there was a dude I worked with that did the same fucking thing. And it was, I was bartending at Ruby Tuesdays, of all places, that you never see anymore. And there was this, like, young kid that was like he was an avid drug user, right? Like, loved his shrooms and acid and shit like that. Just, you could tell by looking at him, he just had like that hippie vibe. He was a skinny kid with like this blonde curly hair, but it was like almost in like a white fro. Like, it was just this big, ball of hair on his head that just kind of bounced around with him. He was like, "What's up, man?" And he came up to me one time because he'd been there a month. He goes, "Hey, man, like, we're slowing down. Do you think I'll get cut soon?" Meaning, like, he can go do his closing shit. He goes, yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, probably, man. I mean, it's like 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's a Thursday, but it's time. Like, yeah, we got a couple hours, but honestly, they'll usually let the host. That's what he did. So he was the host. So he's like, man, they usually let the host go. Just let the servers seat themselves after 8. He goes, okay, cool, great. Because I just took some acid. I was just wanting to make sure. I'm like, you just fucking did what? And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, and then he tells me, he goes, dude, I love acid. He's like, this past weekend, I took like 2 hits Sunday or Saturday, and then like I took like 3 or 4 on Sunday. Then Monday, I took like 2 more to come down, and then I came back to work on Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of fucking acid. Number one, I remember thinking that, and then he's just like, yeah. So I just dropped some. I figured, I got like 45 minutes before it really starts kicking in. Probably take another one before I leave, so it hits me when I get home. Kind of the same fucking acid mentality.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of time constraint these fucking acid heads are on, where they can't wait to get home. They got to go. Let's go get it now. So when I walk in, it's hitting me. I don't need to get comfortable.
Right.
So this dude, that he did that. We get out of nowhere. The comedy club next door lets out. We all forgot. Fucking filled the place up. Now, I've got a slam bar, restaurant slam. They ain't letting him go. So 45 minutes later, he's still seating people. And if I could make a noise to represent what this kid looked like, it's this. Like, he had this, like, pasted on, like, I'm trying to smile grin. But everything's real fucking crazy right now on his face. Where it was just like, it was kind of like happily psychotic. Like, yeah, here's your table, ma'am. Like, he's white knuckling it, trying to hold it the fuck together. And I'm the only one in the restaurant that knows. And I remember the manager's like, oh man, I can't believe how busy I am. Hey, by the way, you know what the fuck's up with the host? I'm like, oh man. I was like, I'll tell you later, man. He's having a rough one. He's weird. He's like, I mean, that kid is fucking weird. And just kind of walked on. And like later on, I think I told the manager, I was like, yeah, by the way, he dropped like 2 hits of acid right before because he thought he was going to get cut. He goes, that fucking moron. And he goes, I know, right? And like most restaurant managers don't care. I've had restaurant managers yell at people for not coming in high. They're like, first of all, you talk to me like that again, I'm gonna fucking fire you. Better come in high because you're an asshole when you're not. Like, it's like I've heard them say that shit to people because they're like, you are the sweetest, welcomingest, best server I've ever had. When you're high,
Right.
When you're not high in here, you're kind of a dick. Like, do it for the job.
Do it for the job.
Yeah, like the restaurant managers don't give a shit because they used to do it too. But yeah, that kid got cut. I mean, you just saw him like he didn't do any of his side work. He just ran the fuck out of the building. And you just see him by the window, just woof, gotta get the fuck out of here. Bad vibes.
Oh man,
I never laughed so fucking hard in my life watching that unfold in front of me.
I can't even imagine.
Me either. It just sounds horrible.
Yeah, it sounds horrific. It sounds like a nightmare. Like a nightmare.
But he was no Doc Ellis.
No, he was no Doc Ellis. One of my friends, I know I told you this before, he took acid at this house party that we were at, and then fell asleep on the couch, and then woke up after everybody left and started looking around, thinking, like, he's looking around, there's nobody in the house. So imagine this, you take acid, you start tripping, you somehow pass out, you wake up, you're still tripping, you start looking around the house that was full of maybe 100 people, now completely empty. You go walking outside, it's still dark out, so you think it's still like early in the night. Not a car anywhere, no people anywhere. Well, there's cars parked, but there's no people anywhere.
Right.
Up and down the street you're looking, nobody anywhere. He thought, and he swore up and down, he was telling us later, that the rapture happened. And he got left behind.
Yeah.
Because he took acid.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And we found him the next day hiding inside of the closet reading the Bible, reading Revelations, trying to like plan out,
Like repent.
no, trying to plan out how he was going to survive what happens on earth after the rapture.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy shit that's supposed to happen. And we come in like, what are you doing? He's like, they didn't take you either. Like, what are you talking about?
Made sense to him, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so. I actually had a buddy that had a similar experience, except he was in school as a religion major, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, one night I don't remember what he was taking. If he took LSD or fucking a fuck ton of shrooms." And he goes, "But, I had just got done doing taking these tests for these different religions." And he goes, for some reason I fucking was tripping my nuts off, got on the internet, started reading all this crazy, like going further into some of these religions and like geopolitical shit. And then he was like, and somehow along the lines, I thought the world was over. And now I'm freaking out. My roommates are gone. And he goes, the more I look up on the internet, the more I'm like, yeah, man, it's fucking over. It's gone. It's all over. He's just like, I'm fucking running around losing my shit, thinking like a war's about to start. He was like convinced himself like bombings are happening. Like he was like, I was the last fucking time I did fucking shrooms.
Can you imagine, dude? Like just the neighbor happens to have some M80s that he let out.
Well, dude, that's another buddy. Actually, a guy I worked with just told me this like recently. He first time he did LSD or shrooms, I don't remember what it was. The fucking power went out. Like there was a blackout in the whole neighborhood, and he goes, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people started lighting off fucking fireworks.
Oh my god.
He was like, I'm fucking screaming on my bed. Ah! He's like, like the people I was with are like, get the fuck back in here, man. It's just a power outage. Yeah, he's like,
He couldn't handle it.
yeah, that's the worst experience I've ever heard in my life.
It sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It sounds like a nightmare.
Dude, I feel like I know too many people have done this shit. There's another buddy of mine told me he took a bunch of fucking shrooms, and he goes, we thought, there was a group of them, they were like, we thought it was going to be a great idea. Because, normally, like, shrooms, you want to go out in the forest and get in tune with nature. He goes,
Right.
We were, like, it was, like, college and, what was it? It was, like, at UK, there was, like, State University, like, these 3 streets back-to-back. They're, like, boom, 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 and they all connected like a grid pattern. And it's all college housing, but it's just a fucking party central.
Oh yeah.
And Halloween is, like, one of the biggest things. And it's basically, like, if UK wins, they close down that whole block because no cars can get in and out because it's just thousands of people walking around. Everybody just kind of goes in there. You just go in and out of houses. At least it was back in the day. Fucking Halloween was that way. And it's like, for some reason, they're like, yeah, so we just all took a fuck ton of shrooms walking around Halloween college thinking it was going to be a cool, trippy idea.
Yeah, with all the people in the costumes
In
and
fucking
shit.
costumes.
Right.
And he goes, I was losing my fucking shit. He's like, you know what it's like to fucking talk to Marge Simpson, tripping your fucking nuts off and trying to decide if it's real or not?
Yeah.
He's just like, shit was melting together. Fucking, then you got the crazy assholes that are dressed like fucking killers and serial killers. Like, oh, fucking stay away from that group. Oh, hey.
It sounds like fun.
Sounds like ball retracting fun.
Yeah. If you're like in your early 20s.
Right. If you're like, I want to have heart palpitations for a night.
Yeah. Do you know any of these guys that had like long-lasting after effects of taking psychedelics like that?
There was one guy who actually passed away that I didn't know this. Like, I knew he was into like psychedelics, smoked a lot of weed, kind of hippie vibe as well. And like he, I hadn't seen him in years. And one of my friends, I was like, hey, what happened to him? And they're like, they're like, and this is the way one of my friends explained it. He's like, like some people when they take a bunch of acid and, you go up and down, but there's some people that just don't come back. He goes, that was kind of one of them. And I'm like, that's fucked up. That was a fucked up way to look at that. And this guy was like younger, super intelligent, like fucking great, amazing student, fucking like was a swimmer. Like the guy was a like amazing athlete, like fucking way smarter than me. Like was dedicated, all that shit, and just like I guess just experimented and just like it's like he got into that vibe, did that Bonnaroo shit, tripped balls one too many times, and then like as he put it, just didn't come back. And then you saw him, he just like kind of walk around town. Like he's just one of those dudes in which that is like, if you have like underlying mental issues that can exacerbate it from what I've heard.
Right.
And I've talked to other people who've had like family members that are not saying he was, but like there's a guy I worked with whose brother was like, I think he said he was like a little schizophrenic, and they're like, there's another person I talked to that like had, and for some reason they like to walk around town. Like they'll just go walk for hours. And I don't know if it's like a way to work out, like they're doing something while trying to like work out whatever's going on in their brain. But that's kind of what this guy was doing, and sad to say he ended up like offing himself. But it's just that's the scary part. Like it was one of the saddest things I ever heard, because I'm like, man, that guy like had high hopes for him, and it just sucks that's the way it turned out.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Whenever suicide comes up on this podcast, we like to mention the suicide hotline, which is 988. Dial 988.
Oh, okay, yes. Sorry. I wasn't laughing at that. I thought he was fucking making a joke.
I wasn't making a joke.
I know. Well, if people are like looking at the video and they're like, fucking that guy's an asshole. He's starting to laugh while he's doing the suicide hotline. I'm like, no, it's because I thought he was about to do fucking Theracon or some shit like that. And I was like, hi, Debbie, he's throwing in a joke right now. I was like, I just like laid out this emotional, like sad moment, and you're like, don't forget about Dr. Brown's streak-resistant underwear. That's where I thought he was going, and I was laughing about how fucked up that would be, and he was being serious. So I'm sorry. It is a serious matter. Go ahead. Suicide hotline.
Yeah, 988.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want you to stay.
Yeah, please.
We want you to stay. But we are going to go now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are going to go now.
Now that we've
time.
fucked up the mood.
It is time for us to
yeah, it is.
buzz killed away. Now I'm going to go try and get a different buzz on.
Yeah.
Alex, where can they find us? Soberless Thoughts.
Well, the best and most adventurous place is www.soberlessthoughts.com. You can tell how old I am because I've said www. The wide world web .soberlessthoughts.communications. Is that what com stands for?
I have no idea.
I think that I'm pulling shit out of my ass. Or if you just don't feel like typing it in, get on your phone, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to Twitter X Twitter.
Don't they still have to type it in there, though, also?
I don't know. The artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah. X.
And we are at Soberless there. But everywhere else is Soberless.
We're at Think Soberless.
Soberless. What did I say?
Just at Soberless.
At Soberless. Yeah. But yeah, Soberless Thoughts.
At Drink and Think.
At Drink and Think. That's going to be our gas station. We're going to open a gas station. Drink and Think.
Drink and Think.
It's like the gas and sip. But yeah.
We need to open like a bar that's like a Starbucks. Where you just like walk up and you get in line to order. Like there's an actual, because you know how bars are where people just sit around the bar,
right?
And you gotta fucking try and scoot your shoulder in between people and like, hey, over here. This is where you just gotta wait in line. You get up. There's one spot where you order your alcohol.
Yeah.
You get your alcohol, and then you turn around, you go find your fucking table, and you sit down and you drink.
You know, here's a social experiment that I want to do with this. You know how there's speed dating?
Yeah.
All right, I want to do a speed dating, but with weird fucking ideas, where every table has a microphone at it, and you sit down 2 people, and then you go, "What's your thought of whatever?" Like, if you got wild fucking crazy thoughts.
So we'll have an index card that we put all the thoughts on.
Oh, I was just gonna let them run around.
No,
It might get a little wild on my version, but yeah, index card funneling the ideas.
Yes.
Like, what do you think of this? And put like opposite-ended people, like
just 2 random people, because it'll always be
Right.
something different.
yeah, like
Even you and I don't think completely alike.
right, and that is true. And then just kind of like poke the bear, like every table, and just like switch, and just make them all switch. And you're like, all right, so. I was trying to think of hot button topic. So, worshiping cat people over lizard people.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be a fun social experiment.
That is great. That is great.
Yeah.
Would you be accepting of late-term abortion if you were raped by a Bigfoot?
That's so layered. God.
Yeah, just things like that.
Well, I'm going to say a big no if it's me, because we need more Bigfoot.
We need more Bigfoot.
No,
in the
I don't
world.
know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's, but yeah, no, never mind. I take that back. I forgot the first part. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, it was definitely non-consensual. But is he an animal? Because animals don't consent. See, this is where this would get me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, nope, it's wrong. No, what is
Yeah,
that
but-
wrong? No, it's still pretty fucking wrong.
How long do you have to discuss your answer, though? How long between we switch tables?
Oh, you gotta get. It's not gonna be like speed dating, like a minute or 2. You'd have to do like 10 minutes, 5 minutes a person, because like people are gonna rant.
I say only 5 minutes.
Totally.
I like the idea of you're only getting half of your thought out, and then they're like, next, and you're like, fuck.
All right, so I'm against it. Bigfoot's an asshole. Moving. Because I'm sitting there like, that's the fucked up part about that question you just said. I'm sitting there going like, well, it's fucking wrong, and it fucking happened. We could off Bigfoot, because fuck him for what he did. But at the same time, you're like, this is an endangered species. Then it's like women's rights versus PETA at that point.
What a great fight.
Yeah, that's whoo.
Well, when you find yourself in that fight, you are in the skillet. And you, my friend, need to stay cheesy, keep it greasy, and flip on out.
Flip on it.